So we talked about the Knights of Labor, which were much more radical, kind of a moderate socialist labor union. The AFL was more bread and butter issues. On May 1st, they had that general strike. Over 1 million workers came out for an 8-hour workday. Police attacked the strikers in Chicago. That led to this. I think I got to this right here in class on Friday. And so they went to protest this. It was just going to be a relatively, it was going to be a peaceful meeting, kind of a picnic mass meeting. Now, did we get to the bomb? Yeah.
What's just AFL?
American Federation of Labor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You see it not a lot of times they say AFL now, but then it was AFFL. They always added the of. Because. So did we get to the bomb? So what happened was somebody rolled a bomb. Here's my beautiful drawing of the bomb. Pretty good, huh? They rolled a bomb into a group of police officers. Killed 8 officers. It was a bomb, iron bomb, pretty shrapnel, still black powder. Dynamite has been invented, but it's pretty rare, expensive. But no one knows who did it. It could have very well been an anarchist. This is the beginnings of anarchist terrorism. It also very well could have been an agent provocateur. The police had spies in the rally, and this has happened a number of times where they would actually attack the police. Police spies would attack the police, thus giving an excuse to attack the strikers. It's called an agent provocateur. And this has happened a lot. A lot in the United States. If you go to places like Russia, it's like a perpetual event to this day. And no one was sure who threw the bomb. Nobody was sure. But 7 known anarchists, and here are 2 pictures of them, would be arrested and condemned for this. No evidence. To this day, we don't know who actually threw the bomb, but we are pretty sure that it wasn't any of these 7. But that's not the point. Their point is this could be used as an excuse to break up anarchists, to accuse the strikers of being bomb-throwing anarchists. And, where's my mouse? Then they turned around and blamed the Knights of Labor. Said the Knights of Labor are infiltrated with anarchists because the Knights of Labor are more moderate socialists, so they must be anarchists. And this would be the real cause of the problem. Radical unions like the Knights who want to destroy the country. And this was the first age of real mass media, this time newspapers. Newspapers, this was the golden age of newspapers for the next about 100 years. You know, now newspapers are dying for lots of reasons, mostly dealing with mismanagement, but that's another story. But they attacked the Knights. They put story after story, because most newspapers are owned by people who don't want labor unions there either. And the big thing about this was, why this is so important, is this really sways public opinion. I mean, outside of Chicago, the workers there might have read their newspapers, and there are over 30 daily newspapers in Chicago and over 100 weekly newspapers at this time. And people were readers. They read the news much more than today. That's when the people today think, oh, we know so much more because we have the internet. No, actually, they were much better read. Partially because that was entertainment. That's another story. You know, they didn't have kind of entertainment today. But in Chicago, they might know. Well, around the country, it's saying that radical Knights of Labor and anarchists, terrorists, attack police. And they believed it. And this really hurt the labor movement and discredited anarchists and socialists to this day. This is a big deal. Public opinion can be really swayed by what's in the media. I mean, look at today. When people read something, it's amazing how fast these ideas can spread. And lies can spread really quick. We are a nation now of conspiracy theories. It's overwhelming conspiracy theories. And you can see elements of this right here. Here's a couple pictures of it. So here's the anarchist meeting on the lakefront. That's Haymarket Square. implying this was an anarchist meeting. No, it wasn't. I'm sure there are anarchists there. And here's another picture of it. Look how they draw it in the dark. There's the bomb. It wasn't like that at all. And some fiery radical giving a speech. But the Haymarket Affair would really cement that idea that labor unions were equal to bomb-throwing anarchists. And that they're dangerous radicals. And a lot of them were foreigners. So there are others. In fact, them would be used a lot. So you have this, that these radical, dangerous foreigners. So here you have Uncle Sam, and this is a, do something about all these dangerous radicals. And it says here, it's the mafia, organized crime coming to New Orleans, anarchists in Chicago, socialists in New York. And look how they draw them. These people coming in, dirty, dangerous, radicals going to destroy the country. And this will be used by politicians to the set as the other, as them. And so we're jumping right to here. So what's going to happen out of this is there's going to be a lot of anti-union activity. And let's get to the basic element. Unions raise wages. Unions raise wages. There's also control issues. Unions can organize to say we want safer work environments and benefits, but all of that is wage. And so unions raise wages. So how companies would fight them? Let's go through a couple of them real quick. A lockout. A lockout is a company will shut their doors. They'll shut their doors and not produce. I know in the short run they won't make money, but the idea is they'll close the factory to force the union out. They'll break the union, basically telling workers, you won't have your jobs. You're going to starve unless you get rid of the union. And this is going to be used a lot. A lot. It's a very common practice. You got to be pretty big to be able to absorb a lockout. Heck, this has been done from everything to professional sports to try to break the players' unions, all the way to, it just happened in Montana, near Belgrade at a aluminum factory. Next, scabs. So if there is a strike, workers call them scabs, but strike breakers. Hire workers to come in, keep the factory running while there's a strike. If the factory can run while the strike is going on, the union folds. So there's going to be some big battles trying to keep strike breakers out, scabs. Hasn't happened in Helena for a long time. Happened, God, it must be 40 years ago. There was a teacher strike. They tried to bring substitute teachers, and there was brawls. Striking teachers tried to keep them out. It's about 20 years ago that happened in Billings during a strike. Next, yellow dog contracts. These are contracts they force workers to sign. You sign it, you don't join a union. And the yellow dog's a coward. You might have heard that saying before. But the whole idea is the companies are scared of unions, thus they're yellow dogs. So you want to work here, you agree not to start a union. These are technically illegal, but companies still do this. Next, blacklist. Blacklist is a list of troublemakers. What are troublemakers? People want to start a union. And they'll pass it to all other like companies saying, don't hire these troublemakers. So if you're a worker and you get organized and trying to start a union at, let's say, a steel mill, they'll pass it to all the other steel mills saying, don't hire this person. Basically, they're telling people, if you want to start a union, we will make sure that you never work again. We will crush you. So, the whole goal is keep wages down. And don't forget, if unions are weak, all wages go down. Pinkertons. Okay, we've mentioned Pinkertons before, including, I showed you this picture before. General McClellan used them as spies during the Civil War. But they'd be hired as spies or thugs who try to infiltrate the union. They do things like stake out the bathroom and listen to everybody and see if they're talking about it. People think they can talk freely in bathrooms. By the 1920s, places like Henry Ford Automotive Company, they put microphones in the bathrooms so they can listen to you. I know, yes, it's as creepy as it sounds, but people think they can speak freely. Workers in Alabama say Amazon's doing that right now, and probably. Next, company towns. You force the workers to live in a town owned by the company. Therefore, you can make them pay rent to live there. Anaconda was a company town. Has anyone ever driven around Anaconda for fun? Has anyone ever driven around Anaconda? There's all these little white houses that are almost identical. They're tiny little houses. There's blocks of them. Those were the company houses. And they would rent them to the workers. But what a great way to cut their pay, raise the rent. And they didn't pay them in money. They paid them in company money called scrip. That was only good in the company store in the company town. In fact, you could be fired if you try to buy something outside the company store. So all you have to do to cut the wages is keep the wages the same, but raise prices in this town. Company towns were really common. There were a few in Montana, but like Homestead still had a company town. All these places had company towns. Yeah.
Was it Butte a company town?
It was a company town. It had some elements of this too, yeah. And the only reason I mentioned Anaconda is the same company that smelt was in Anaconda. You could really see the houses. These little tiny white houses, and they're just blocks of them in Anaconda. Butte is harder to see. Butte's a different town. Of course, Anaconda's kind of becoming like a ghost town too. Poor Anaconda. That used to be a really big AA school. And now it's not. I think it's B. I think it's class B. It's just weird how that has changed. Heck, Libby used to be a AA school. And now that's B. So, propaganda. Unions are bomb throwing anarchists. Propaganda is really effective. So, hey, you're gonna fake dudes, and therefore your salary will go down. And it'll work. Montana's going to go through this here right now, and it'll work. Unions, the few unions that are left will probably be busted. It's happening right now. And but these are all ways, and they're very effective, especially if if government is allied with business. So you have to get to one strike really quick, and it's Homestead Still. I know the bell's about ready to ring, so let me just say real quick. Homestead Still was a company town that Andrew Carnegie, it's Carnegie Steel, and he wanted to break the union. How do you break the union? He did a lockout. Now it's called a strike, but it really wasn't a strike. Everybody calls it a strike. It was actually a lockout. The workers did not strike. He had his people put barbed wire, hired Pinkertons with a new weapon called a Maxim gun. Has anyone ever heard of a Maxim gun? It's the first machine gun. And they put up guards, and they locked out the workers to destroy the union. Okay, just a little bit tomorrow. Please do the registration. If you have any questions, you can ask me, and I will give you my vast knowledge, which is you found out very limited on this. But sorry about that. I know about what classes we offer. But take as many as you can take. You would regret not taking any. All righty then.
Thank you.
Have a good day. We'll see you.